Hello, this video is of the New Holland OD200 disc. This is the prototype. From this, 10 other discs have been made. Like my earlier videos, I will break this into different parts so I can show you different parts of this disc from different angles, including getting in close here with the camera that's currently on the tripod. This disc took about 6-7 months to build. It consists of 663 individual parts. 403 are of the gangs alone. There's a lot of gangs, a lot of parts in the gangs, I should say. And as you could tell here, lots of nuts and bolts to put this very complicated gang system together. This disc was made for New Holland by Miller, and only from 1980 to 1983. It appears New Holland in the colors of the traditional red and yellow, not the current blue color, was used at this time. It's a very unique disc. You can find them on the internet, and I found that the area I grew up in, New Holland was very closely associated at that time in the early 80s in that coloring with hay and forage equipment. To see something in tillage of that New Holland coloring was certainly different, to say the least. I'm going to now just take this disc and just turn it around. The way I have it is with my with the jack in the down position. Hopefully you can get some close look at some of the detail on this disc. This is fully functioning, including this locking mechanism here, which I'll lift up for you, on how you would set your height, your depth, and lock it up, which I'll get to in this video as well as the leveling mechanism here, as you could tell how this works. Now, in the real toy, and for those that bought this disc from me, of the 10 that have been made, and only 10, and all have been pre-sold, by the way. I'm not making any more, and these are all, this project is concluded. I've even sold the prototype. The prototype will be going, which has all my, I call intellectual property and engineering thoughts put into it. But this, I've had to simulate hydraulics because, of course, the leveling doesn't allow for or any of my toys for real hydraulics. So your hydraulics are actually your fingers. So I'll get into that here a little bit in a few minutes. I'll just show you another angle of it from, say, that point right there. You can see in the background I have an International 5488, which you've seen in our earlier videos. I use as something for scale and also to hook the toys onto, so you can have a close look at what it looks like when it's all put together. I believe this disc will take it somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 horsepower. It's a replica of a 14-footer, very heavy disc. Interesting with this is designed with Miller. This, you can buy them as either a 2-bar gang. You see there's 3 here, or a 3-bar gang. And on the 2-bar gang, the center bar is taken out. The chase unit of this series of 10, I've made one chase unit, is of the actual traditional Miller colors, and it's of a 2-bar with notch disc front and back. But this is a prototype of the entire series. And I'll just get you a bit of a backward shot here. One of the things, if you take a look on the internet and go to places such as Tractor House, what have you, I found very frustrating to build was actually your hydraulic hose holder. These are, on this design, are always kind of bent forward or back. I don't know why. Well, it is actually, in fact, because of the, how do I say, the angle and aesthetics of how that hitch goes up and down and tilts. I also find that the jacks on these discs were terribly twisted and bent up. A very heavy disc to put a jack on, which I found quite interesting. And I'll just give the last angle here. And maybe I'll do the next video is I'll simply hook up the 5488 to it, and you can have a better look. I will put a little more over here. Now, I do want to go through how the operation of this disc is for those that bought this toy. The other discs are right behind, or beside the camera and behind me. They're all in a million parts. Half are cleaned up and ready to hit the paint booth. You'll see with this disc, I have some nuts and bolts that are not locked into place yet, and they're still in the what I call the fit and finish stage. Even the axles here, only because on the prototype, all the heavy work goes into it, and then the others just are flow from this. I'll stop my video here, and I'll just put this toy on the tractor to give you an idea of size and scale. In the second part, I have the camera in my hand, and I'm just going to get up a bit closer and move in and out. And at this stage, I'll just show you what the toy looks like with an International 5488. I don't think it'd be the optimum tractor to pull this with in real life. I think it's a little bit on the light side. But I stand to be corrected by those who used them, and depending on your soil conditions too. I'm just going to get in behind it here and get in nice and low. Get the detail on the scrapers and how they are, that entire bar is mounted on the gang itself. Now right here, I'll use my other hand. This is a, I guess what the proper way to call it is a pivot area here. This is actually a hollowed out, and there's actually a pin inside here. So when you adjust at this end, it swivels at this end and you lock it in tight. It all works just like the real one. And here we're getting into a very complicated part. You can even see that included is these looped, very fine brass hose, hydraulic hose guides or holders. So it comes off the hydraulic cylinder from here. You run your hoses through there and up through this very uniquely designed hose, hydraulic hose holder, which I'll get into a little bit later. Now this toy is behind this tractor. I'm moving the toy on you. In the lowered position, I'll get another, but as I do this on purpose. Now please note that on this toy, you'll still see some markings that I do with a Sharpie pen. There's some markings there. This has not been fully cleaned and it's not fully sanded yet. Because I do, again, all my design features go into this and into the prototype, I should say. I will admit that I regret selling the prototype because it is really, really neat. There's a lot of mechanical things going on in here. And as you can see here, just elements of it, especially up in this area. That's an adjustable feature in terms of the leveling hitch, and which I'll get into afterwards here. All right, at this stage I'll stop here and I'll get into the mechanical piece of the front end of this disc with the tractor removed. In this third part, I'm going to demonstrate how the disc right now has the wheels raised. It's a very nose heavy or front heavy disc. I did not put the jack in the raised position just yet because I just want to show some of the mechanical aspects of this for those that bought the disc and wish to display it in different positions. I'll just use my finger here. Hooked to a tractor, of course, it would be raised like so, and that's easy to display in a raised position, as well as just simply having the jack lowered and down, which fully functions, by the way, which I believe is shown in my other videos. But how you lower and raise this disc is just like the real one. Right here, you have this bracket that moves up and down, and then this solid tube followed by 7 spacers or washers. Now I'm going to take my hand here and hopefully not make it too jiggly for everybody. So when you raise this disc, like so, you just simply lift this up, tilt it back like the real one. Now the disc is in the down position, and then you just move. This goes in behind your bracket, and then you adjust the height that you want, or the depth of your disc, by how many washers you want to use. So I'll just put, I don't know, say 2 up and 3 down. Doesn't matter. Whatever my fingers can get into here. There we are. And then you just simply drop it into position like you would in the with the real disc. There you go. So that now controls how high the disc will raise, you see, by how much spacing. If you want lowered or raised, that'll be up to yourself. I like it in the lowered position. But in the raised position, I had to do a couple of things to compensate for not having any real hydraulics. So right down in here, I put a little tab to prevent this arm from coming all the way out, which would make this hydraulic arm here pop out. And it doesn't have that much bearing because the real crux of the matter is right underneath here. You adjust all this, I'm moving this hitch on you now. You adjust all this by this pin and this level of, there's a bar here with several holes and settings that you could set your angle to. I have it on third from the bottom, and it seems to be about right. So just a heads up again on how you want to display this. I will set it to the proper setting so you can have both a raised or lowered position to display your toy. I'll just pull back a bit here for a moment and just stop for 1 second and go to the next part. In this next segment, I just want to demonstrate that when the hydraulic hose, and you'll see this comes off the pistons on either side, they go through, and I just have a couple of just hose pieces, hydraulic hose pieces that I use. They slide through there, and then it's threaded through. This is quite an interesting piece. Again, it all works. And the real one, this is a mounting bracket, and you squeeze your hydraulic hose through there. I'm putting the hose through it as an example with one hand holding the camera and one hand actually threading. And then they're pressure fitted in there and squeezed down. But to change the angle, if you're so inclined and you want to change the angle of your cut of your disc, I'll put it head on. They will come straight, which seems to have been the most popular angle to put this particular disc on. You simply remove, take out these two nuts right here, and then you slide this back and forth to where you want it to be. So we'll come back and forth, and these pivot. These are on bolts up in the near the frame. I'm pointing to right here, and it will swing over as you're looking at it from head on to your left, and to change your angle of pull on this particular disc. This hose holder is actually bolted in as well. I don't know if I can get down below here, get a good angle on it for you or not. And there's a thread rod throughout the entire length of it that comes in through this brass tube and then up into this bracket holder here, if you want to call it that. This is probably the most, for its for the build, I was like to the end of my demonstration here, the most mechanically intensive disc that is not a winged version. You've seen other winged discs I have. The Ford, I believe I may have online now, and the John Deere. This is simply very unique too, because in other discs you just have one beam that holds your gang together. This is a very different thing. Very heavy, very heavy disc. These nuts and bolts, by the way, that are on these gangs are all 256. And as you can tell, I hope I can get a good angle here on the scrapers. Yeah, and these scrapers, New Holland had about 3 designs of scraper, and I just picked the mid-production type, a non-spring standard type of a scraper. And as well, you can tell by the discs, these are a standard disc. You can get, they could be notched both front and back, or one or the other. And but I saved notched back and front on the chase unit for this series. This was painted New Holland color circa 1981-82 of red and yellow with the discs that are black. The scrapers, the earlier version, 81-82 seemed to switch this. The scrapers were yellow, and then they were later black. So this will be yellow as far as I can determine at the moment. But I'll be honest with you, if it looks better black, they'll be hand painted, because there's a lot of detail I have to get around here. So I'm just going to give one last look at this. Again, there's 663 parts. I did get the manual for it, which I'll show you here in a moment, just as soon as I can reach behind me here. This is what I bought online. It appears to be released in October of 1980, and there's no other updates to this manual from what I could gather. At least that's the code on the back and the way I can read it. So this wasn't the best of manuals. Fortunately, I found a Miller version of this that I got all the measurements from when I built it, and so the manual was, handy at times, but not great. Anyway, this is the my concluding piece for this toy, and just want to demonstrate that. So it's a very mechanical toy. Lots going on in the hitch and in the hitch leveling area, and just to be mindful for those who bought the toy on how you may want to set it up. Thank you very much, and until next time.